So, Shiraaz, we'll just get into it. Thank you so much, based on what you've shared. I'm excited, especially about the practical stuff that you shared and, the practical application of. So, but let's start with, can you talk a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what's important to you?
Okay. I'm an educator at Rhodes High School. I'm the subject head of life orientation. I'm also an English educator. I've been at Rhodes for the last 15 years. Prior to that, I taught in Saudi Arabia. I obviously come from the southern suburbs. I grew up in Surrey Estate, in the southern suburbs. Attended Surrey Primary, went to Rylands High School, attended UWC and UCT with Edna. Ruth on the life orientation ACE program.
Okay.
And we passionate about life orientation because we as a person are really enthusiastic about the subject, because I know for a fact that this subject has a necessary application to teach your learners the necessary skills and knowledge and values to face the 21st century and its problems that it presents itself. Yeah. I grew up with a lot of issues and norms and mores that obviously makes me passionate about the subject. For example, I lost my parents. My mother was bedridden at a very young age.
Oh, wow.
My father had Crohn's disease. He passed away. I was separated from my parents at the age of 13. So I know that these life skills and life orientation gives you the necessary skills to cope with issues that comes with poverty, comes with loss, comes with a relationship, be it inter and interpersonal communication, and a whole lot of things that crisis, disasters that I have personally experienced in my life. Because when I was in Saudi Arabia, I was almost kidnapped by 2 soldiers on a convoy to Mecca. So yeah, and so you're presented with certain situations that life orientation, I can tell you, give you the necessary skills and knowledge to survive in those circumstances that's very pressing. It's basically
And life orientation didn't exist in the previous government, right? So it was an introduction. It was one of the new things that was.
It did in some way.
Guidance.
Yes, but the component of it did exist. Okay. Guidance. Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, it did. But you see, life orientation now, as it's presented now, is so holistic. It covers every arena of the human being, you understand? And what I have informed the people that I've mentored over the years is that life orientation is of such a nature that you don't teach a subject. You teach a human being as a human being how to behave as a human being, you understand? In the circumstances that they find themselves in. And I don't teach a subject. You see, this is the influence of life orientation. You see, you are bringing the reality in the classroom. You are enthusiastic about, because the learners is also giving you information, because you are fundamentally a co-learner and a co-teacher. You learn from your learners because they tell you in the class that, sir, I'm dealing with this that you're speaking about. I'm dealing with the rape. I'm dealing with the corruption. I'm dealing with the fraudulent things that's happening. My family is even involved in this, but I'm going to be part of this. I'm frustrated. Where do I go? So life orientation directs you. You can phone Rape Crisis. You can phone Drug Anonymous, etc. And as well as you can become proactive. That's what life orientation teaches, to become proactive in the sense that you can do community gardening, you can be vertical farming, you can be roof farming, you can do water harvesting, and a whole lot of things, recycling and upcycling, and it becomes so interesting as a subject. However, it gets downplayed by a non expert teaching the subject.
Yes.
You see, and also the ethos and the persona of the school does not allow the subject to grow and add value to the subject, because it just becomes a add-on to that person's workload. And then you must remember one thing also is that an educator that does not have proper training and alum can cause major consequences in the classroom.
Yes.
You see, for example, if it comes to sexuality, you have a adverse thing about teaching this particular subject when it comes to sexuality and things like that, and it can cause major problems. You understand? So you see, these are the things that one needs to emphasize: professionalism regarding the life orientation, giving it the correct attention and the correct resources and the correct manifestation, so that the subject can grow, and not this constant negativity of the subject. Because I can tell you this much: if we have to interview those people out there, they will give you stories that how life orientation have impacted on their lives. Remember in grade 9, decision making, choices, things like that, that have allowed them to make the right choices regarding careers and a whole lot of things.
Wow. So, it sounds to me like what you're saying is that life orientation should be like every teacher should be. It's almost like teachers also need to be social workers, because, in fact, young people spend so much time, more time with teachers than with anyone else. It sounds to me like
Correct.
it's a subject that everyone, or like you say, not a subject. It's like everyone needs to hold it within them to understand how to respond to the needs of learners.
Personally, I really enjoy life orientation, probably because I get taught stuff about outside world and also stuff that happens on daily. So I enjoy it a lot. And there's certain stuff that I don't get taught at home, obviously. So the teachers teach me that, which is quite interesting. Whether it be basic things about puberty or stuff like that, but I just generally enjoy life orientation. Because like I said, there's certain stuff that you don't get taught at home. So life orientation teachers basically teach you the basics to know about living your lifestyle, different type of things, even your learning style and stuff like that. This year, I learned a lot about my learning style and my studies and stuff like that. I'm more of a visual learner. I learned that this year because I focus more when I see pictures and when stuff is colorful, it seems I remember it that way better, much better, seeing pictures, watching movies or watching documentaries and stuff like that. So yes.
Oh, wow.
I'm
So
a visual learner.
that must make a huge difference for you, right? Can you tell
Yes,
me? Yeah. So what are you doing differently because you know that?
Sorry?
You think you're doing anything differently about knowing that that's your learning style? Are you actually doing?
Yes, because before I struggled to study when I had to write down notes and stuff like that, but now I draw pictures to help me remember stuff. I watch videos which also helps me remember much better, so that really helped me and made me come out of my comfort zone.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to share? Is there one I think that's such a powerful thing for somebody else listening to that. But is there any one thing that you would say that you remember from life orientation that has made a big difference in your life?
Not necessarily, but there was certain points even when we were learning about the human body and stuff like that, because I enjoy I think I want to study going into a medical field. So in life orientation we learned about the body parts and things like that. So I enjoyed that a lot. So that opened my mind to new possibilities also. And we also learned about career choices, which also gave me a more proper path on which career I want to go on, because at the start of this year I was very indecisive and confused as to what I want to do. So that also like impacted my choice a lot. So like I really enjoyed life orientation this year.
Okay. So what grade are you in?
I'm in grade 9.
Okay. And so now,
Yes. So
what career do you think you're going to go into?
I want to become a radiologist. So I obviously need to know like the body parts and things like that. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So I had such an interesting experience yesterday. I had to go for a mammogram, and I know it's not.
Oh,
Yes. Mm,
that's cool. Well, it's not cool, but that's interesting. Yes.
yes. And I mean that's what you more what you're inclined towards. But you know what is so important for me? Both the radiographers. I think they're radiographers because they take the. Yeah. Anyway, you know what the most memorable thing for me is how beautiful they were, how lovely they were to me, how they put my mind at ease. They said things like, the one when before she took the thing, she sat me down and she said, "Okay, if I take another picture, it's not because I have seen something; it's because I want there's something that I'm not seeing. So don't get anxious if I say I have to do extra." And it was so beautiful. Like they thought about that, and I don't know, it's just came to mind now that you say that. And I would imagine that life orientation is about that. Like from what I was chatting with your teacher, it's about that human interaction and how humans understand themselves and understand other humans and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I also in life orientation, like they taught me good communication skills, like when I group work and stuff like that, like taught me like teamwork and how to work with others more. Because like before I was very shy, but it also brought me out of my comfort zone. So yes.
Sometimes we find that educators don't understand that they are teaching a human being.
Mm.
That is the fundamental, understand? And second to that, educators don't understand that they are a co-teacher and a co-learner.
Yes.
That is fundamental. I learn from my individuals sitting in the class. I learn from them on a daily basis in order for me to create the correct impact and bring their reality in class so that we can apply what we are learning.
Mhm.
Some people just follow the curriculum mechanically, uh, uh, um, you know, A, then B, therefore C, and that's it. They got your books, page this, page that, etc. But did you ask that person? You even know his name. You even know his persona. You know what he's going through as a person. Things like that. So it is important that we need to understand as educators as a whole that we are teaching human beings and you are a human being. This is a fundamental, you see. And then we also need to understand what is knowledge. You see, what is not just giving information.
Yes.
That's not knowledge.
Yes.
You
Yes.
see, knowledge is the development of the mind so that the heart can migrate to what? To discipline, to commitment, to perseverance, to reach its full potential. A learner might not remember the subject in the class, but they will remember the impact that you made on his life.
Yes.
And that is the most important aspect of an educator.
And life orientation, very, very different subject in the sense that I believe that life orientation was the only subject that was actually drawing from experiences. The interesting thing about a subject like life orientation is that when it does this, you start to see, or you start to understand that you and your friends don't have the same idea about certain things. So there's a lot of differences and there's a lot of variety. Also, living in a place like Cape Town where you have someone from Guguletu, you have someone from the Cape Flats, someone from Athlone, and you have someone from Mowbray, someone from, all these different places. A subject like life orientation was the type of subject that was really, really going into these things and opening up the variety and helping to bond with students. I really liked the way Mr. Gamieldien tackled a lot of the concepts in the subject, and they were quite easy to internalize just because, drawing from our personal experiences, every single person had a different way to internalize these subjects. And I really, really enjoyed the group work that came with, some of the projects in life orientation. I really liked working in groups. I'm personally the type of student that likes doing things alone, but I do value interdependence. So I love communicating and working together with my peers and all that stuff. Mr. Gamieldien wasn't just teaching a subject. When he was presenting these ideas, you really get to know and understand, how your friends think or where they come from, what their opinions are about certain things, how they feel, how they think about certain things. And it's not just breaking down and dealing with very, very, strong abstract concepts, but we're dealing with the real world and learning how to cope with certain things like mental health, and diseases and all these other things. Very beautiful subject in the sense that it was able to tackle these things and give a sense of awareness. But for the most part, I think a subject like life orientation is not easy to teach, just because you have so many different students from different backgrounds that have different opinions and ideas about learning. And I think a person like Mr. Gamieldien, a teacher like Mr. Gamieldien, was very essential in this role, in the sense that he was able to be very, very patient and understanding of the different opinions that were coming from different places, from the different students, their opinions and what they thought about the subject. And I think that having access to someone like that, you weren't just being taught by a person who is doing their job, but rather by a person who their purpose is to teach. They want to teach. They are passionate about teaching. It's something that is who they are. Their purpose on this planet is to teach. So you come from this background, you come from this place, you live in this neighborhood, you have these difficulties, and these things are talked about in class.
An educator is a very important job. However, that job cannot be done properly if the infrastructure of the school is not in place to make your job easy. And it starts from grade R. You understand? Now, what happens is it gets passed on to the next, to the next, to the next. Here I'm in grade 12 level, but I have to deal with grade R issues that was not met or was not dealt with at the time. And we downplay it, we downplay the early development. Early development is the most fundamental, and the resources needs to put emphasis on this early childhood development. And it's an imperative.
I agree with you. So I feel so strongly about that myself, like that grounding is so important. Teaching little human beings about what it means to be human and what it means to interact with another human being, Why do you think people don't take it seriously?
You see, what happens is that sometimes what happens is that you have people that have knowledge, but they are insincere. And they give the wrong impression about this particular subject. Okay? Then we have people that are ignorant, but they are sincere. But they also cause a wanting to display of a whole lot of nonsense. Okay. The third one is there are people that are knowledge and sincere, but they don't get the platform to advocate the correct method of teaching life orientation, because everybody has an idea what life orientation example. Like example, many people say, and I'm going to use the Afrikaans vernacular now, is 'n gemosbak. Hulle bly praat van seks en die is gemosbak. You see, without dialectical process of what is the subject all about. You sit with me, I'm the expert. I invite you to come sit with me so we can discuss what the subject is about and what does it talk about when the country is in so much turmoil when it just comes to sex. And we consult about this so that we can have a correct method, you understand, in teaching a human being according to his nature. And life orientation is like this. I'm teaching you according to your nature. You see, you're a thinking being, you're a feeling being, you see, you're a social being. Okay, so life orientation teaches you this methodology of that you're teaching the mind, you're teaching not. And I'm not teaching you to how to think. I'm teaching you to think. And that's imperative. They try their best, etc. And also there are other specialists that also teach. You can't blame them, etc. And the running of things that takes place. So it doesn't get it, and also the learner. Remember, a learner, if he doesn't appreciate you as a human being,
Yeah.
and you don't appreciate him as a human being, it can also cause a problem. You have to create a relationship, some kind of cordial relationship where, you know, you're safe, I'm safe, let's learn. You understand? And we must move away from this idea of racism and racialistic ideas, and more of an integrative process of learning and working together and making things happen. So it's all about perceptions and ideas, etc. But yes, we have tried. Example, at Rhodes High, we had the moon court. Moon court is UCT used to come to our school. We had a court taking place. Moon court is like a how can I say, where you imitate the real process when it comes to human rights violations, but in a court process. So we had that. We had people coming here with IDs. We had people coming here with having a bank account opening. This is essential things. And we also had people coming here, inspirational sports, invigorating things happening. We even had learners coming here from that was at the Rhodes. Now, recently, last year, were the principals also involved in the life orientation program, and he put into place this video clips of different genres, videos, etc. And in these videos, it depicted so many issues that presented in life orientation. But life itself, the journey of life, and the teachers watching it, and they were in awe that they could relate what they're learning in Allo, and they could see it. Oh, decision making, what can happen? Like the series called Sugar, and many other videos, etc. that we went. So we divided the other program in. We watch a video, then we analyze this video in correlation to the curriculum. We dissect it. We also relate it to reality and things like that. So yes, at Rhodes, we try our best. I'm not saying it's ideal. We try, and even if it impacts 5%, we've done something. It's hand in hand. Educate the learner, parent, it's hand in hand. Everybody must work together to make it an educative process.
Can you tell me about the practical application of life orientation? You were talking
Yeah.
about
Life orientation can be explored to another level. That means we can actually apply it to recycling, upcycling endeavors, entrepreneurial endeavors, becoming a social entrepreneur. That's what life orientation is saying. Yes, unemployment, but yes, there are solutions. We're talking about upcycling. So in the upcycling is killing two birds with one stone. For example, you're cleaning environment at the same time you are recycling and upcycling. In this business industry, there are huge opportunities. And then also life orientation teaches you about water harvesting. Okay, it teaches you about community farming, where the communities can come together. So there's a lot of things that life orientation also teaches about. When I showed you those pictures, that you can take something that you think is useless and you can make it into something beautiful. For example, going to the scrapyard, you're taking the leather from the seeds and you're making leather bags.
Yeah.
What would have happened to that leather that's lying there?
Yes.
What about the tins that's lying everywhere that you drink? You can collect it and you can melt it. You can make pots and pans, forks and knives. Okay, and Kenya is one of the countries that is foremost in the recycling process. If you look at the amount of waste that we have, we need to come up with a solution. And life orientation teaches the application of this knowledge. You see, and when it comes to making the correct choices about food, etc. Okay, when it comes to genetically modified foods and things like that, life orientation teaches you about this, making the correct decisions and things like that, and also teaches you about the entrepreneurial process of you going into that industry in the fourth industrial revolution, that you can take food at another level of, and Japan is the fourth runners in this particular thing. So we say to our learners that don't think locally, don't think provincially, don't think nationally, think globally, and always research and investigate other countries that have done these things already. Recycling, upcycling has so much impact, and also the selling of ideas. You don't need to work, but you can think of an idea and make that idea happen, and you work with a company. If I approach Spur with that idea and I say, now you have to employ me for the next 5 years, because I can show you the trajectory, how much money I'm going to bring into the company, because most of the spaces are redundant. It's a waste of space. You're not getting in the clientele. Let's have offices on wheels, etc. Let's do this differently. For example, you have restaurants that only provides unallowed food. Why must I open another restaurant? Why can't I divide that restaurant into 2 kitchens with the necessary conditions in place, calling the experts in, and you have 2 cuisines, one for those that is allowed and one for those that is unallowed, and integrated. These are all ideas that life orientation opens up with the dilemmas, with the situations that we find ourselves in. We are trying to make learners think. That's what we talk about the application. We make them think that yes, you are cleaning up, but you can also generate funds to support yourself. For example, I read an article, one particular garbage man says he makes 800 Rand a day. Did you think about that's lucrative? Did you think about that?
Wow.
If I sit on my seat at home, I'm going to earn 800 Rand. He earns more than me. He earns more than me. But life orientation gave him the knowledge to the application, which I brought that in the class as a reality. There's a reality. Yeah. Did you hear of a woman that started growing peppers in the garden and started selling it? One lady saw open bacon and started growing coffee beans. There's a reality. You see? So the application of life orientation is so powerful. For example, another part of life orientation situation we talk about application is when kids are in danger. The bottles, this. Imagine you teach a learning class and they have children, and yeah, you must buy the correct bottle, you must put the things in the correct place and things like that in order to avoid unnecessary crises and accidents. And this life orientation teaches you about the application of the subject. It's not just about the knowledge in the classroom, then you walk out and you forget about it. No, it is the application that goes on. Recycling, upcycling, interpersonal communication in the workplace. Think about it, employment acts. Life orientation to prepare yourself, how to present yourself, how to sit in the interview. And this is what life orientation teaches you, the application. So if you're a coward, these are the consequences. If you are too bravo, these are the consequences. But if you are courageous, positive impact. Even life orientation talks about self-defense. When you are in a situation with someone, human trafficking, or someone wants to hurt you, fold your knees, do this, do that, emphasizing going for martial arts. It even talks about Tai Chi yoga to do the meridian, the movements of the body, to look at alternative medicines and things like that. It values alternative medicine, not displaying Western medicine. Don't get me wrong, but it also adds on to the to expand the knowledge, what is out there that you were previously not aware of. So you become enlightened, not to rob yourself of opportunities. This is what the subject is. Application.
I liked something you said. You spoke about the bottle. You were talking about babies, like teaching about.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important because we know that there's a high level of teenage pregnancy in South Africa.
Sexuality doesn't mean about teaching sexy. It depends on the grade and the appropriateness. For example, in grade R level, I'm not going to teach you about sex. I'm going to teach you about self-esteem, breathing in, valuing the self, the mind, the body, exercising, creating confidence, assertiveness. You see, don't get the wrong idea about sexuality is about you mustn't have sex, you mustn't do this, about the organs of the body and things like that. No, it becomes appropriate in how you bring it across. You see, because we need to accept the realities. We need to accept the realities. Our learners are involved in unwanted sexual things. They get raped. They also get involved in sex, etc. We need to inform them. There are consequences, what they need to do when they are in that situation. Because you are valuing, you are watching from the top down I come from an affluent area and I don't understand what the intricacies and idiosyncratic factors is going on in that community. Understand? So now I want to judge. I want to make my own sentiment based on my children, where I live, and things like that. No, we must be realistic. We have to be realistic. We need to give it the utmost respect. Because at the end of the day, it's a natural thing. But the natural thing must take place within a contractual agreement within the correct time, and to understand that there are consequences and there are good things if it's within the correct time, the maturity in the contractual agreement that takes place. But the reality is the person is in that reality. Who's going to teach that person how to deal with that situation? Are we just going to put it on the fuel and just burn it away? Are we just going to put it on the burner and just teach subjects, and we're not teaching the human being how to behave like a human being, to think, and also to deal with these situations that they find themselves in. And we must move away from this concept of condemn.
Yes.
We condemn people. You have committed this error, I condemn you.
Yes.
Huh? That's why we can't teach the subject. No, you must not condemn. You must say, I believe in your potential. Come, let me and you discuss the procedures and the necessary skills that you can come out of it and not to commit the same error again. Because you need to consult those who are not, that has knowledge. Who's going to give them the knowledge?
Yeah.
You see, so it's important to teach but as I said to you, the correct method. The correct method is the most important. I can't teach about sex in the sense of its word to a great art learner. Come on. But I can teach self-esteem, assertiveness, confidence through activities, through exercise, through believing in themselves, through making the right choices, decisions, and things like that. That's why life orientation is a progression. You see, some people, they misunderstand when they teach HIV and AIDS. Okay, example, you teach HIV and AIDS in a certain grade about what it is all about. Okay, but at another area in the grade, I teach about the impact it has, the effect, not the effect, the effect of society, the economy, and how it can compromise the economy, like COVID-19 that you're currently dealing with. Life orientation has the necessary answers to what we are dealing with. You see, corruption, incorrect policing, incorrect self-defense mechanism. And there are many stories about learners that can not only achieve in a sense of they come from an impoverished area and they moved out of it based on what life orientation has given them the specific tools. But these learners don't get the platform in a sense because it's a few that will advocate this what happened, you understand, no? And many people, because of their negativity, do not allow this kind of, they constantly bounce it back into its place, you understand? And then I came up with the idea of positive journalism, meaning come and share your ideas and your impact in life and discuss in a proactive way how life orientation has impacted your life. Not only me as an educator, wherever you find yourself, and as a whole. Remember, we must be ultimately beneficial to mankind. You see, this is the objective of life orientation. Not only yourself, but the main thing about life orientation is don't change the world. Change yourself, and in changing yourself, you will impact another, and eventually you realize that you have changed the world. And if you didn't change the world, at least you bettered yourself.
Yeah.
First and foremost, we need to understand the fourth industrial revolution, that everything is becoming automated. I mean, robotics, mechatronics, and things like that is taking over society in great proportions. Everything has become online, digital, and things like that. Even the way restaurants operate and things like that, they need to move into another arena. Need to move to another way of thinking of how to make money, or to make a revenue, or to keep abreast with the payments and things like that. You see, the problem is no subject has spoke about the fourth industrial revolution. The life orientation has spoken intensively about the fourth industrial revolution, as well as the acceleration that COVID-19 has impacted on the economy. Life orientation has spoken about these social issues and the impact it has, and also the solutions, possible solutions. Like people don't even know that 6,000 people were fired or retrenched in Standard Bank alone, or in the bank industry. The bank industry has gone online at the rate at which is going, the people are not even aware. Pick and Pay, some branches become automated, and cashiers and all of those type of things has become redundant, or is going to become redundant. And life orientation has obviously shown these fourth industrial revolution. Remember, you mustn't teach a learner in your time. You must teach a learner according to his time or their time and what is to come. Understand? If you teach it according to how you grew up 30 years ago, you have a problem. If you teach about going to the bank or going to Pick and Pay and you can work yourself up and things like that, you have a problem. You have to teach the learner according to his or her time and the time that is to come. You can't just teach him presently 2020. I'm going to teach him according to 2025 possibilities and futuristic possibilities. You heard from the learner itself that how life orientation has opened up these avenues, not only from a self-esteem aspect and confidence, and also aware about the learning style to better the mark. Because we're a mark type of society. We don't look at the potential of a learner. We just want to put a red pin, red pin, red pin. Not realizing that each individual has a potential. You, the one, must tap into that potential. And that potential is varied. We can't take if we take a fish out of water, it dies. You can't compare a fish to a bird or a bird to a lion, etc. Each individual is diverse and different. He has its own potentials, own capabilities, talents, etc. You as an educator must acknowledge, appreciate, and develop whatever is present in front of you. And the main thing is to discard and also we teach learners about trials and tribulations. And we say it's not negative. It's not negative. It discards the falsity within you. It allows you the opportunity to exert yourself and never to give up and to effortlessly to find opportunities, the oasis that is there, and they are there. Listen, we give you the resources to find the source of oasis, but don't give up. You see, this is you see what you spoke about communication, things like that. What more can I tell you?
Any last words, like for ordinary people, concerned parents, citizens, activists, learners? What are the key issues we need to be confronting with regard to education, do you think?
I am a human being teaching a human being, not a subject. Wow. We need to move away from this type of thing. I am a human being and teaching a human being. And my last message to the people out there is our early development is of paramount importance. I cannot emphasize it anymore. It is of so much importance, people. If we don't realize this, we're going to sit with a huge dilemma if we are not sitting with great consequences. Coming together, sitting together, and really putting all our resources and thinking caps on and designing a proper curriculum and also the correct person that educates your child. Very important at that age. It's important that that person at that young age is very highly educated and highly skilled in dealing with our young ones, because they are the future. They are the future.